Hi everyone, we've got a super exciting episode for you today, but just before we begin, please note that audio included in this episode that does not belong to Girls Got Game is property of Nike and is only in use in our show for non-commercial purposes. Thanks and enjoy the show.
Welcome to Season 5, Episode 5 of Girls Got Game. We do not have an interview today, but I am equally excited about what we're going to be talking about. This episode, we're going to be looking at the history of Nike, specifically their advertisements, all the way from 1988 to 2021. So before we do that, and before we take a first listen, I kind of just want to talk about like the history of the slogan of Nike and the Nike swoosh. I was very shocked at both of these things. So in Greek mythology, Nike is the winged goddess of victory. So the logo is derived from the goddess's wing, like the swoosh, which symbolizes the sound of speed, movement, power, and motivation. Like shook. And then the slogan was originally like inspired from a murderer, and so the story is his last words. So this guy's name's Gary Gilmore. Before he was executed, he said, "Let's do it." And then at the time, the advertising executive switched the words to, "Oh, let's make it just do it," which is like crazy. So I know, right? I wonder why he would say "let's do it," like kind of like "let's get it over with." Anyways, I'm very glad they didn't go exactly with that because I definitely like "just do it" better. Also, I wouldn't want it to be direct quoted from like a murderer. Anyways, so the first advertisement in 1988 was basically the first time the world heard this "just do it" slogan. So yeah, let's take a quick listen before we discuss it.
I run 17 miles every morning. People ask me how I keep my teeth from chattering in the wintertime. I leave them in my locker.
So like I said before, that was the first time the world had heard "just do it." What do you guys think about when you hear that slogan?
I think for me, a lot of it comes from like being an athlete and remembering my coaches kind of just telling me to like, not in like a Nike way or anything, but them telling me to like just do it, like just do it. Like literally, you just have to throw all your hesitation out the window and like just do whatever you're trying to do. So I feel like for athletes, it's a really easy slogan to relate to because it could relate to being an athlete, but I also think it could relate to being like a shopper. Like, just buy it,
Ooh, that's true. I've never thought about it that way.
So those are the two things that like I think about because sometimes I'm really hesitating when I buy something. I definitely shouldn't buy it, but then I'm like, oh, just do it. Like, just buy it.
That was Nike's goal.
I don't know if... Yeah, exactly. But I don't know if when it came out that people related to it in that way. I feel like that's the way that... as like a modern athlete and a modern shopper that it's evolved.
Yeah,
that's really cool way to look at it because I never even thought about it in that way. But it's really weird because Nike's one of my favorite clothing brands, and I've always had Nike. And even when I was still in gymnastics, like we were sponsored by Nike Lithuania, and like I loved it so much. But I never ever kind of thought about it. Like I didn't really care what it meant. I just kind of liked the look of it, and I just liked that it was, oh, just do it. Oh, that sounds cool. Oh, the little swoosh, that looks cool. And I never ever like associated it with anything. I just really liked the look. And it's like, it's really interesting to hear where it came from and like what it's associated with, because I never associated it with anything. And even what Natasha said, like, oh, just do it, just buy that thing. It could be associated with so many things, but I've just never thought about anything. So for me personally, it's just it associates with nice clothing.
That's fair.
Yeah.
For me, I would say similar to Natasha's is with two of like the main sports that I did when I was growing up, like figure skating and then skiing. Like there's no way to land a jump unless you literally just do it. Like you have no option. You just have to like throw yourself in the air and hope that you land it. So that was definitely the first thing I thought of is like and I guess this is kind of Nike's goal, like there's no way to get better unless you just do it. Like you don't have to think about it, you just have to do it. So that's definitely what I think.
Kind of like the guy dying.
Yeah, that too.
The murderer dying. Yeah. Just gotta do it, man.
Oh, that's such a dark history.
I definitely agree with Natasha and Elle as well. Like I feel like Natasha said, growing up as an athlete, and like obviously in hockey it's not so much as like just do it as skiing would be for Ella, but I still think it's really prominent. And like Natasha said, or sorry, like Ella said, you're never going to get better if you don't just do it. So I think it's really important to keep that in mind, and just kind of, obviously don't like risk your life or do anything stupid, but like when it comes to, getting better in your sport, you just have to do it. You have to put in the work. You have to work hard for what you want, and you have to keep going towards your goals. And if you don't do it, you're not going to get there. So
yeah, totally.
I will admit I do remember saying it when I go like mini cliff jumping with my friends at the lake and stuff. So it is applicable to other life elements other than sports. But kind of going off of what Elizabeth said again is that I remember when those Just Do It shirts came out, where it was like just do it, like on the whole shirt, like huge letters, and I hated them so much. I was like, wow, you really want to show you're like a Nike supporter, huh? Like so much for like the elegant swish or swoosh. It's like that's just the whole shirt, like that's what it is.
That was like
so
grade 7 boy uniform, like the Just Do It shirt and the blue basketball shorts.
That's exactly what I had in my mind. And it was blue too. But that's what I associate when I think of like Just Do It, like clothing wise. I'm like, wow, they really wanted to like get their slogan out there, and I think it really worked because I have that image of like a grade 7 boy ingrained in my mind.
Yeah. Well, why don't we take a look at the next one, which is from 1993, and then Emma can give a little rundown of this one.
Sure. So basically, going back to the first one for a quick second, Nike was kind of in a decline in the States. So like when this slogan came out, it really helped their sales. And then again in 1993, they really tried to change their brand from that like high school boy to less of a clean cut. Before they had Michael Jordan as their as their sponsor, so like he was very proper and was a great sponsor, but also wasn't as edgy and like authentic as they wanted. So then they released this advertisement with Charles Berkeley. They wanted to get another person to pitch their ad that wasn't as clean cut, as kid friendly as Michael Jordan. So yeah, let's take a listen to this one before we talk about it.
I am not a role model. I'm not paid to be a role model. I am paid to wreak havoc on the basketball court. Parents should be role models. Just because I dunk a basketball doesn't mean I should raise your kids.
That really reminds me, I don't know if you guys seen them, but the PNG commercials for the Olympics, like the proud sponsor of moms, PNG, and they have those little commercials where it's like, oh, parents are role models, and your mom is like a part why you're like your parents are a huge part of why you're successful. And that just reminded me of that, and it's like that's one of my favorite ones.
Well, I think because we often look to like athletes that like sponsor these companies as like kind of some other figure, and it's like, well, they are human too, and they're not perfect, and they're not getting paid to be perfect. They're getting paid to do their job and play their sport,
Yeah, that's a good point.
And I think this one got a lot of like controversy for some reason. Even just like reading the comments, they're all over the place. But I think I like the main idea of this one is that he's an athlete. Like he's paid to be an athlete. He's not paid to be a perfect person, which is kind of interesting.
Yeah, why would I get controversy? I think it's so perfect. Like, that's so true. Every person is... Just because someone's, like, paid to be a brain surgeon and they make so much money or whatever doesn't mean they're, the best person or... Like, I love that commercial. I don't know why people are...
Yeah. I think the controversy, like, it's something that people really believe today is that athletes should be role models, like, on and off the court or the field or the rink, like, the ice or whatever. But like it reminds me of the kind of like the LeBron James thing that was going on where he said that like I have a platform, so I'm gonna use it and comment on politics and try and like change the narrative and create change. And other athletes were being like, you're an athlete, bro, like you get paid to bounce a ball, do your job, don't like interfere with politics. And like I see both sides for sure. It's like, yeah, you're an athlete, you shouldn't really influence other people's opinions on politics especially, but I also see the fact that like if you have a platform like this, you might as well share your opinion and your views, hoping that it can like sway other people, hopefully in the right way.
That's a good point. Like it's interesting seeing how Nike's like switched their views in this ad, which was 1993 to now, where it doesn't matter, you're an athlete, you are raising children whether you know it or not. Exactly. Like you are impacting their lives, right? So it's kind of cool how they've adapted that new train of thought, I guess.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I definitely think this is an interesting approach. Like it's not something that you see especially like nowadays, you never see something like this out there. So I think it's an interesting approach for them to take that like in that time period, and it's interesting to look back on now and see how far we've come from them.
Well, let's move on to the next one. So this one's from 1995 when Nike rolled out If You Let Me Play, which is an ad aimed at female consumers. This was 4 years before Brandi Chastain took off her shirt to celebrate the 1999 World Cup, that really brought women's soccer to the forefront. So Nike was a little bit ahead of the game here. So in this advertisement, there's a girl that appears on camera stating facts about the benefits of sport and participating in sport. So let's take a listen.
If you let me play.
If you let me play sports.
I will like myself more. I'll have more self-confidence.
If you let me play sports.
If you let me play.
If you let me play.
I will be 60% less likely to get breast cancer. I will suffer less depression.
If you let me play sports.
I will be more likely to leave a man who beats
If you let me play.
I'll be less likely to get pregnant before I want to.
I will learn.
I will learn what it means to be strong.
To be strong.
If you let me play.
Play sports.
If you let me play sports.
I love how in your face this one is.
Oh my god, I know, I love it. I just
like to say that one was deep.
It gets to the point.
I feel like if something like this were to air in this year, like right now, it would be canceled or people would be mad about it. Just because it's like, I don't know. I feel like so many things get looked at in different ways today, and I feel people would mistake that for saying like, oh, you have to play sports to be healthy or whatever. And I just feel like in today's today would just get canceled or people would be mad about it. But I love that one so much, and I think it's so true. It's 100% true. Even remembering like when I was in middle school or elementary school, all the girls who, played a sport and who took it seriously were the ones who also got good grades in school, were the ones who were, healthier, were the ones who, didn't get involved as much with, like, the bad gangs and groups. So, yeah, I think that commercial is so true.
Oh, I remember being 14, and there was, like, a statistic out where at 14 years old, that's the age where most girls like drop out of doing physical activity and like sports and stuff like that. So in Richmond, like where I lived, you could get a free pass to like any community center and do like fitness classes and stuff like that for free. So I joined like taekwondo and like all these weird classes and stuff. But I remember that, and I remember seeing why would girls quit? Why would girls like drop out of sports? But it was so sad to think that like other girls my age, and that's when I kind of realized it. I realized that like other girls my age might not feel welcome playing sports, and other girls my age, like their parents might not believe in them doing sports, because that was the thing for my mom. She was never allowed to play. So that's why I was really encouraged to like keep doing sports and things like that. So I love that commercial because it's so true, and it's like, and it more people need to know,
I agree with that. Like I know growing up, like my dad played hockey, coached for pretty much his whole life, so like I was put right on skates as soon as I could walk pretty much. And like I think about it, and it's like I was super lucky to have that privilege, but not everybody had that same privilege or were able to afford to play sports like that. Or like I know girls who didn't have a good experience in hockey and they quit when they were young or stuff like that. And I just think about like how lucky I was to be able to always have good coaches that like looked out for me or cared for me, and to always have like, you know, just stuff like that kept me wanting to play the game and kept me like built me up to be an advocate for women's sports rather than dropping out at a young age and like not enjoying myself, I guess I could say, and like wanting to do what I'm doing now and, you know, make other people want to have the same experience that I did.
That's actually a really good point. I feel like a lot of girls, like if they have a bad experience the first sport they play or they like don't like it, they immediately are like, okay, then I don't like any sport, and they just quit sports completely. And that was like the first sport I did, which was I think tennis, and I hated it. And then I was like, that's it, I don't want to do it. But then my parents pushed me to try new things, and that's how I ended up in gymnastics, and I'm so lucky to do that. But some parents are just like, okay, you don't want to do it, all right, whatever. Which I think obviously not every person has to be an athlete and do sports, but I think growing up it's really important for kids to try, for girls especially, to try like different sports and see what they like.
That also just made me think about in high school, I did like basic gym class all through high school, and there were always, you know, a couple of girls who did it just because you could easily get a 95 kind of thing. And I was always like the kind of person that like didn't really care about like how I looked, because I guess that was the reason that they cared about, oh, I don't want to play baseball because I'm going to look stupid or I'm going to get sweaty or whatever. And then I remember my teacher being like, no, you don't want to play because it's hard and you can't do it. And they were like offended at first, but then we were like, wait, you're right. Like that's why they don't like it, is because it's hard and you feel bad when you can't do something. Yeah. But I really like the message behind that commercial specifically of like, if you let me play, there's so many things that will help my like overall life that you might not even think about. Like soccer means that I will be able to stand up to an abuser. Like that one was the one that hit me hard, because I was like, wow, that's not at all related to sports, but really it is.
I think it's important to mention too that like most people at some point in their life will have some kind of a bad experience in sport, whether that's with a coach or with a teammate or something. And like it's important to, I mean, obviously if it ruins sport for you, it ruins sport for you. Like that's how it is. But like I know for me, just like to life. Kind of, and like I know for me, just to kind of relate to that, like I played rugby in high school, so I started playing that when I was 14, and by grade 12, I didn't play in grade 12 because the way that I was treated in my grade 11 season, I just didn't feel like it was worth the money anymore. But at that point, I was old enough. I had already been playing hockey my whole life. I'd been playing lacrosse for like 3 years at that point. So at that point, like it didn't really matter. It was just like, oh, I love this sport, but I had a bad coaching experience. And like I was able to understand that. But I feel like if it happens to girls who are younger, like they don't really have the ability to understand why it happened, or like if they're only involved in one sport, it's like, well, that could just turn them off for good. So
I also feel that those experiences make you stronger like when you're older. I just feel like obviously you're gonna experience bad things, and like sports are hard, and especially if you go to a higher level it's gonna be difficult, but I feel like those experiences make it so much easier for you later on in life.
Yeah, I definitely agree with
I
that.
think it's definitely a life thing too, because in life, like if you let like an incident kind of break you down, then you know you're never going to be able to grow from that. In sports, it's all about growing. It's all about like progressing. I think sports is really important for teaching people how to get through certain things. And it's also like a really good tool. Like even if something does happen in sports is also a tool that you can use to get over it and grow from it and learn from it and, you know, cope with it or anything
sports
you need.
Sports are great.
Go sports.
Sports are great.
So another great message that Nike told was through Michael Jordan and the claims that he was cut from his high school basketball team and that he was picked third in the NBA draft. They released the commercial called Failure in 1997 in order to tell his story and to sell to the consumers the idea that failure and setbacks is unavoidable and that success is only achieved through hard work. Let's take a listen.
I've missed more than 9,000 shots in my career. I've lost almost 300 games. 26 times I've been trusted to take the game-winning shot and missed. I've failed over and over and over again in my life. And that is why I succeed.
I love that one. It sounds very 90s.
I think this one might be my favorite one.
It reminds me of Matthew McConaughey's Lincoln commercials.
Yes.
I feel like everyone knows what I'm talking about here.
Yeah, I love that one.
Nike's really good at making commercials.
They are.
Like, I don't know how they do it. It gave me
and it's
the
so
tingles.
simple. Like,
I think they're very good at like picking up on trends and then like tapping into like what people are feeling.
Yeah.
You
Oh my
know,
God, the quotes from this thing too, like just the fact, like I don't know.
yeah,
it's just
and I
crazy.
love how it literally is what we were just saying. Like, there's no way to get better if you don't just do it. Like, that's exactly what we were saying.
Just do it and possibly fail,
Yeah.
but keep
I love that
going.
one.
Exactly.
I feel like it's really accurate too, because like it's true, right? Like no one's perfect. Everyone makes mistakes, especially in sport, right? Like I think about hockey and how many times have I missed the net or hit the post? Probably more often than I've actually scored a goal. So, like realistically, it's a really good message, and I think especially for younger kids who are, you know, learning the sport and trying to get better, I feel like it's a good message to hear from Michael Jordan especially. Like this is normal, this is okay, like you just have to work through it and you'll get better.
Yeah, I feel like it's almost refreshing to hear that, because we see Michael Jordan and all these amazing athletes as these perfect people that are so amazing and don't feel, you know, pain or sadness or don't make mistakes. And it's kind of nice in a way to see that they do make mistakes and that, you know, he went through so much to get to where he is, that he got kicked off his high school team and all this stuff. And it's just really refreshing to hear.
So the next Nike commercial was called Goodbye Mars. It was released in 2003 and featured a fictional character named Mars Blackman from the film She's Gotta Have It. And this character is played by the film's writer and director, Spike Lee. So in the film, the character is obsessed with Michael Jordan, hence the connection to Nike. And the commercials featuring Spike Lee as Mars, they came out in the 90s, and the final commercial aired in 2003, which is the one we're going to take a look at. And it kind of came out as a nostalgic farewell for Michael Jordan's NBA retirement. So let's take a listen.
Yo, Mars Blackman here and my main man Michael Jordan on the speed dial. No money, it's me.
Who?
Me.
Who?
Me. From back in the day.
Mars?
Yeah. Is this really it? You're gonna retire? Calling it quit? Is it true?
Yes, Mars.
You sure?
Yes, Mars.
Really? Truly? Cross your heart, hope to die, stick a needle in your eye?
Yes, Mars.
Call me back in 5, doing a commercial, Mr. Nike. You gonna hang him up? You gonna be playing golf? No baseball, though. Arrivederci. Sayonara. Adios. Avidasing. So long. Goodbye. Farewell. For good. Again?
Goodbye, Mars.
That one, I would say, is another one that's worth looking up just for the visuals. Because
Yeah.
it's so 2003. It's so good. Yeah.
Yeah, that one's definitely a really funny one. And I think just didn't make his leaving sad, which is great. They kind of like added some humor to it when he's like, "Do you want to play golf?" or whatever he said.
Not
that was
baseball.
pretty funny. So then in 2012, so we kind of skipped a couple. There's so many, and we really recommend you go through and look at all of them because they're so great. But we're going to talk about an ad called Find Your Greatness. So let's take a quick listen before we talk about it.
Greatness. It's just something we made up. Somehow we've come to believe that greatness is a gift reserved for a chosen few. For prodigies. For superstars. And the rest of us can only stand by watching. You can forget that. Greatness is not some rare DNA strand. It's not some precious thing. Greatness is no more unique to us than breathing. We're all capable of it. All of us.
That last line, though. Oh my
I love how we all just got so silent when that came on. Like, all of us were, like, deep in our fields for that entire thing. Like, we all just went so quiet, so, like, focused.
And I don't know if that was, like, one of their bigger ones, or maybe that's just because that we would have been, like, 12 or 13 when that came out, so we really remember it because we were at that age. But I know that one was huge. And it was so, again, it's, like, one of those ones that's so simple. Like, it's literally one shot of the boy running up the road. And that's it. And it's more so about the words of, like, they just have such a good slogan. Like, it means so much in such little words, if that makes sense.
It's just so simple, but it's so well made that they turn out really well. But
I think that's one of my favorite lines that Nike's done in their 30 plus years, whatever, is the greatness isn't some rare DNA strand. We're all capable of it. Like, that one, every time I hear it, I'm like, you're right. Like...
Okay, so now we're going to move on to the ad that they dropped for their 25th anniversary. This one just went like viral and went crazy. So it was a huge success. The Possibilities ad featuring several athletic superstars and a voiceover from the amazing, incredible Bradley Cooper, generated more than 4 million views in its first week online. Shortly after, Nike was selected by a group of advertising executives as the brand they most wanted to work with for the second year in a row. So let's take a listen and let's just all enjoy Bradley Cooper's voice.
Listen, if you can run a mile, run a race. You know what? Run a marathon. Outrun a movie star. If you can ride a bike, ride that thing. Ride a bull. Ride a tougher bull. Let's watch this. What kind of bull is that? If you can move your hips, if you can dance, move your legs, move your feet, move the ball. Is that PK? Score the goal. Yeah, that is PK. You like to fight? Well, pick on someone your own size. Pick on someone twice your size. Pick on him. That's not good. Oh, lesson learned. If you can play table tennis, serve like that. Beat the champ. Beat her mentor. Come on, you got this.
Quiet, please.
Beat Serena.
Thank you.
If you can beat your friend one-on-one, beat him. Steal it. Take it. Sorry, girls. Now, take your talents to the streets. Beat the street court legend. That's good. Beat that guy. Hold on. We've been waiting for this. That was nice. Good luck with that.
Okay, that one, I have to say, also worth looking up for the visuals, because I was literally sitting here like smiling, like I couldn't stop smiling.
I know, I was kind of watching Ella's face. I was like, damn, this is such a good commercial. Like, Ella just lit up.
I love also at the beginning, when he says like, oh, what does he say? You like the chase a movie star or something like that. And it's just randomly Chris Pine. Like, I was watching it, I was like, wait a minute.
Yeah,
but
there
I think,
are like so many people in this ad.
Yeah, no, I love it. But like you were saying, Elizabeth, that they're kind of famous for having these simple things. But for me, I think it's the audio, like the sounds they pick, the way the sounds are mixed, and then the song in the background. Like, Bradley Cooper has such a normal voice, but it's fun. Like, that's what I like about it.
Fun voice. Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
They really know how to like create an energy. They really know how to like create a scene where you just want to like get up in it, you know?
Yeah. Literally me sitting at my desk, I was like, I'm gonna get up and go on a run after this. Thanks, Bradley. Yeah, that's such a good one.
Also crazy to think about, like, I can't even imagine how many people go into making these. Like, it's like, what, 30 seconds?
I find it funny that that's the direction our brains kind of go down to, is to, like, the
True,
production
yeah.
standpoint of it. Because, like, when this came out in, what year, 2013? I never would have even thought about that. I would have just been like, oh, that was a nice commercial.
This last one, the 25-year anniversary one, you can kind of tell this is getting into more of the, like, new era of Nike commercials, which is what we're going to do in part 2 next week. But you can kind of see it getting more towards that really energetic and motivational side of it, rather than the simple but moving ones.
So as Ella just mentioned, we are going to be having a part 2 of this topic because it's so much fun and so interesting. Basically, we're going to talk about everything from 2018 we're starting till now, till recently, actually, till March. So yeah, make sure you guys tune in. Thank you guys so much for listening. This has been Girls Got Game.
Bye. Bye.